Hey, welcome to the lateral line attunement. And if you haven't done the superficial back line and the superficial front line attunement, you need to go do those ones. But this lateral line attunement is all about the lateral fascial lines that exist on the sides of the body, and these are our main stabilizing lines. So this attunement is all about feeling those lines and all the incredible dynamic stability that they create within the body, channeling our energy forward. So you'll be trying out a bunch of yoga postures and other sensory experiences so that you could really have a strong feeling of these lateral lines that you can take with you into your life and notice how they help you in all kinds of lateral movement and channeling your energy forward as you go forward in running and walking, etc. So this is really going to enhance all kinds of performance, athletic performance, or just your daily activities. Hope you enjoy. If you learned something new, put it in the comments.
Let's begin in a seated position, and we'll sit up nice and tall on our sitting bones. I'm going to stand behind you guys. Yep, feel free to put something under your seat if you feel like your pelvis tends to spill backwards. So we'll sit up nice and tall, and let's just reach through the crown of the head, connect through your sitting bones, and then we'll go into some side bending. Now, partly what the lateral line does in its work on stability, moving us forward or enabling us to move forward steadily, is it allows a little bit of rotation side to side when we're walking. So we're going to explore that too. So let's begin by reaching the arms to the sides and overhead. Take a nice deep breath in. And then exhale, right hand comes down. You can put your right hand on the floor and then just reach your left hand to the side, letting your body bend toward the side. Let's take the left hand and now just put it to the top of the head, crown of the head. Let your fingers wrap around the crown of the head. It's kind of nice to feel yourself reaching into the crown of your head. So you're keeping lots of length in the spine as you bend it to the side. So now let's allow the elbow to bend on the right side, and until you're feeling some tensioning on the side of your body, on the left side of your body. So bend the elbow, let it tension. And now from that position, you can press into your hand a little bit and ground your left sitting bone a bit more firmly. Okay, so once you feel like your sitting bone is firmly grounded, then bend to the side enough so that you feel like now you're tensioning that line. So can you feel the interplay between the superficial back line, which you can lean into slightly here, the superficial front line, which is restraining you a little bit, and the lateral line, which is basically holding you in opposition to gravity. So now let's make sure our breath is nice and full. We're not holding the breath as we concentrate so deeply. Good, let's inhale. Now before you come up, let's draw the belly in. Inhale and come up nice and slow, slowly letting that line bring you up. Let's reach with both hands up. And exhale, left hand comes down. You can just reach your right hand to the left side for a moment. Take your body to the side, and then you can bring the hand to the head. Try to intend as much length through the spine as you can. Let the elbow bend, and now you can push down into the floor hand, ground your right sitting bone a little bit more firmly, and then allow yourself to bend to the side just to that place where you feel like you're tensioning the line, but you have control over the line. You don't want to dig a hole for yourself that you can't actually pull yourself out of. And now you can start exploring leaning back perhaps a little bit, feeling the superficial back line come on. Superficial front line is restraining you slightly. And then one more breath into that lateral line that you're feeling from the pelvis and all the way up. Let's come up, inhale, reach both hands, and exhale, spinning your body toward the right. We're going to take the left hand to right knee, let your right fingers tent behind you. Now, let's not make this about taking the shoulder girdle to the right, okay? Sit up really tall from within your body, and even using your obliques at the trunk and your intercostal muscles, let's turn the body toward the right. just from within the body. Don't use your arms for it if you can help yourself, okay? That's your lateral line. Let's take another deep breath. You can reach the arms up this time. Exhale, spin your body to the left, right hand to left knee, left fingers tent behind. And again, without using your arms to get you there, sit up nice and tall and rotate into the left. Just using the obliques, intercostal muscles, and you're going to feel the side body as you do this. And take a nice deep breath there. Beautiful. Let's come back to center. Reach the arms up. Exhale, bring hands down to the mat in front of you. And you can let yourself come forward and tuck your toes up into downward facing dog. And then we'll come all the way up into downward facing dog. And then when you're ready, you can walk your feet forward to your hands, and we'll come to full standing. First, we'll go into downward facing dog, so you can just fold forward, hands to the mat, and step your feet back. And now once you've come into downward facing dog, you're going to just take a little exploration. So, oftentimes we're being given the opportunity to explore. The exploration I want you to go into this time is leaning into your left hand and your left foot. Lean your whole body over to the left, and then lean your whole body over to the right a few times. And just see what comes online when you do that. What can you feel lighting up in your body when you lean to the right, lean to the left? A lot of the structures that you're feeling that are quickening are part of your lateral line. Down the lateral aspect of your legs, lateral hips, sides of the trunk to the sides of the neck. And remember, these lines are your stabilizing lines. And when we organize and activate, like you'll do here as you come to stillness now in downward facing dog and press down through your great toes, you want to energize like you're dialing your knees away from each other. When you do that, you're going to light up the lateral lines. If you want to feel a slightly stronger experience of that, you can also energize like you're trying to spread your feet apart on the mat. And that is also going to light up those sidelines for you as well. Very nice. So let's walk our feet back up to our hands. Come into a nice deep forward fold with your knees bent as much as you need so that your your body can rest on your thighs. So belly to the thighs. Wrap arms around the back of the knees. And your feet can be a little bit apart here. Great toes pointing straight ahead, heels a little wider. Dial your energy outward. So as you press into your feet, dial them away from each other, press into your upper arms. So you want to feel the lateral aspect of your knees pressing into your upper arms, like you're dialing your knees away from each other. And that's a way to experience the lateral lines. And very nice to do this in the beginning of a practice to kind of sensitize you to those lines and prime the fascia there. Good. So now let's allow the arms to dangle. And we're going to work with a strap. So I'm going to just give you a strap to slide up your legs. And I will do the same. All right, and then reorganize so that your great toes point straight ahead, heels are a little bit wider. And you want to be able to press out into the band and ensure that the band allows your knees to be a little wider apart than your ankles. Okay, keep pressing down into your feet, bend knees and hips. So if you're in forward fold, you'll sink your hips. And let's bring hands up to the hips. So we're into chair pose or Utkatasana. Lift the chest and draw shoulders back. All right, so let's see about lifting all 10 of our toes and then rooting them down, pressing the knees into the band, pointing the tail back, lifting the belly, lifting the heart, and reaching up through the crown of the head. Beautiful. Let's bring hands in front of our hearts. And now we'll take the left elbow across right thigh. Now, before we rotate, let's ensure that the knees have remained in a level relationship and the tail is pointing straight back, and then we're going to roll back a little bit. So when we're working with the lateral lines, we're not necessarily doing a lot of rotation, just a little bit of rotation, because at the same time we're working on our stability here. So that's our main experience, pressing out into the band, but noticing that we're able to rotate a little bit at the same time. All right, let's prepare by pressing down into the feet. Reach all the way up, straighten your body, straighten knees and hips, enjoy, and then exhale other side. Good. Right elbow across left thigh, pressing down, point your tail straight back and your crown straight forward. Very nice. Remember that, we are working with other lines too, so we want to think about things like keeping the chin ever so slightly tucked, keeping length at the back of the neck. Good. Press down into your feet. Keep pressing out into the band. If you stay here and you're starting to fatigue, then you know that that is potentially the point where you'll get some progressive overload, and this is going to cause a strength adaptation. We could talk about that for a few more minutes if you guys want. I'm just kidding. Let's press down into the feet. Inhale, let's come all the way up. Stretch. Exhale all the way down, forward fold. Very nice. Take a half lift here, pressing out into the band, and forward folding right here. Good. So in this forward fold, keep energizing down into your feet like you're dialing them away from each other. Dial the knees away from each other and let your lateral legs press into the band. So just notice how that changes your forward fold a little bit. And hopefully one of the things you'll notice is that it distributes some of the tension that we can often have at the top of the hamstrings where they attach to the sitting bones. Okay, so we want to actually feel tension on the outer aspect of the hips, not so much in that one little epicenter at the top of the hamstrings. Very nice. Now you can bring your feet together, bring your knees together, and let the band slide down, and you can take it off. Take it off all together. Good. So now let's stand at the front of the mat. We're going to use our lateral lines to help us create stability during this transition. So let's bend into our knees, do what we just did, dial it out. Feel as though you still have that imaginary strap on your thigh. Let's keep the right foot on the mat and step back with the left foot for warrior two. So you can adjust your stance longer or shorter as you need. Now in this posture, we're often wondering if what we're supposed to do is fully square the hips to the long side of the mat. I wouldn't think about it like that so much. What you want to do instead is ground through the great toe of your front foot and then press the knee to the outside so that you're pressing into my hand. So you want to feel that lateral leg is on line, yes? Yes. Mm-hmm, super. And she's got the arch of her foot lifted up really nicely. And so then what happens back here is that she's going to keep energizing into her lateral line here so that she can avoid the tendency for the knee to fall in and collapse. So she's keeping lots of emphasis here. All right, so then she doesn't have to worry about where she's pointing her hips, okay? She can be comfortable here. She's just turning on those lines. It's more important than the position, really. Okay, and then we're going to keep length through the spine, reaching up through the crown of the head. And so I would just encourage you to work with dialing it out. See what happens when you don't dial it out. This is what you'll see. So, and we see that a lot. So this is just a way of training our body to have a better mechanically advantageous position at that joint. Beautiful. So now we're going to step back to the front. We'll do that by leaning into front foot, pushing off of back foot, and we step to the front. Going back into slightly bent knees, grounding down, dialing this knee out as you free up your other foot to step back, and then we can open for Virabhadrasana. Again, we're bending into the front knee, grounding down through the great toe and the great toe mound, letting the knee come straight forward and pressing it toward the outside. So we're lighting up her lateral line right here, connecting to the pelvis on this line. Elizabeth has knees that love to hyperextend. So we're going to make her work really hard here. If I don't let her hyperextend, she's got to work really hard. Are you having fun now?
Yeah.
Yes. So exciting. Beautiful. So this is really important to make sure she's got her muscles turned on, and she definitely does. All right. So now let's lean into the front foot, wiggle from your back foot, and take a nice big step to the front. Good job. All right. Let's take another step back with the left foot. I want to keep the right foot in front and take a triangle pose. Okay, so set yourself up. So what I'd like you to explore today with triangle is a different length stance, okay? So we're not going deep into the pose, but I just want you to see the difference. So let's start, first of all, with a very wide stance. Let's go really, really wide. Okay, let's make sure our knees are not locked. And then we're going to shift our hips back. You can let the back hip roll forward ever so slightly. Don't worry about that. And then we'll take our hand to the shin or thigh. It doesn't really matter where. Okay, so just notice what you're feeling on this corner. Okay? Probably what you'll mostly feel is you're tensioning your deep front line now and part of your superficial back line. So, but the tension is not over this hip. So now let's press down into the front leg and come up. Good. Let's make our stance a little bit shorter now, or even a lot shorter. Okay, good. All right, so now let's arms out. Let's come into triangle pose and notice what feels different about this pose. So now you're tensioning the lateral line quite a bit more. And you might find that if you can either sink behind the line or you can stay under the line. So, you know, in the postures, maybe we want to see this. Let's just show me what you often see in your classes, the butt going back over here somewhere. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. So if we see this kind of thing, this student is avoiding their lateral line, is basically what's happening here. All right, so let's get back under it. She would rotate this way. And you know, you're going to come up against a pretty restricted spot. So if you are not enjoying that, you could make it a wider stance, or you can just work with the fact that the lateral line is restraining you there, and that's totally fine. You have a strong lateral line is all. Okay, let's soften the knee and come up. And we'll do those same little experiments on the other side because sometimes one side of the body feels quite different than the other. So let's step back into a really wide stance, first of all. Take your hips back and let's bring the hand down. We're still, even here, we'll bend and straighten a couple of times, we're still dialing it out. We must dial it out so that we access our lateral lines. Very common for people to want to roll in and let the knee fall in triangle. We often see this, or we see hyperextension at the knee, super common. So instead, we want to make sure that we're accessing the stability of our lateral line. And you know, if we are in a very wide stance, we're going to feel a bit more tension on the front leg. If we come up and pull it in and go into a shorter stance, we're going to be up against our lateral line. So that's a pretty big difference in sensation and mechanics of what's going on in the body. Let's see if we can also at the same time access the integrity of the front line. So imagine pubic bone to breastbone drawing away from each other here. Okay, good. Let's take one more breath. Soften the front knee, press it down, and come up. Beautiful. Let's step to the front of the mat. And just kind of shake out your legs a little bit. Okay, then hands to heart center. We're practicing another transition, so let's keep the right leg forward this time, grounding down into that foot and step it back. And let's make it quite a wide step. Inhale, reach the arms out, and then exhale, elbow just above the knee. you can reach your fingers toward the front of the mat. So once again, this is another way of using the lateral line. So there's a few things going on here. In the front leg, lateral line here, you're hugging and pressing into it. And now in the back leg, you're grounding through the outer aspect of the foot, through the pinky edge, and it's almost as though you want to lean and press into that line, creating this elongation here. Now if you bend into the front knee a little bit more and press down into that foot, you're probably going to find that you can spin the body open just a little bit more. Beautiful. Good. So this is a very strong lateral line connection. Let's press down into the front foot and come on up. Good. And you can step to the front of the mat. Let's try the other side. It's grounding down through your left foot. Free up your right foot to step back, and then we can step back. Inhale, exhale, hand can come to the front. All right, so pressing straight down into the front foot, dialing the knee to the outside, letting the arch of the foot lift. So oftentimes when we're pressing the knee to the outside, what's going to help us so much here is this automatically helps us tuck that hip back into the body. Otherwise, we lose energy and efficiency taking the hip out behind us like that. So we're tucking that in and then sealing the pinky edge. This helps us keep the arch lifted, keeps the knee in a good stable position, enjoying the stability of the lateral line. And then we actually the lateral line, remember, does allow us a little bit of rotation, so we can explore the rotation of the trunk aspect of the line. Beautiful. Let's take one more breath. Having that ability to rotate slightly is very important to your walking mechanics. Let's push down into your foot and come all the way up. Really nice. And you can step all the way up. Good. Okay, let's take the arms to the sides and overhead. And let's put the hands at the back of the head. Now let's have the feet apart just a little bit. Good. Very nice. All right, so now we've worked with the superficial front line and the superficial back line, and the lateral lines are supporting those two lines, to be honest. So while we do this half moon pose, or this standing moon pose, we're going to be sort of sandwiching the front and back line toward the center, and then using the lateral lines for the movement and for restraining the movement. So let's take a nice deep breath in here. Make sure you're organized and activated through your legs. Exhale, let's bend the body toward the right side of your mat. Good. So now just take a moment here, and let's not worry a lot about how far we're bending to the side. It's not really about that. Let's make it really long through the body. Reach through the crown of your head. Good, and now make sure your knees do not lock as you start to roll your left shoulder back. Let your gaze slowly drift upward and let your head press to the back of your hand. So you're going to roll it back. So you're actively tensioning the part of the lateral line that helps you rotate the thorax. Very nice. Now maintain that and start to shift your body weight onto your right foot. Connect a really strong connection between your right foot, your right hip, your left shoulder, left elbow, okay? And then you're gonna just toe this left toe out to the side. Stay connected through your center, and then maybe you can lift the toe off the mat. Whether you do or not is immaterial, but we're just seeing if we can stay connected. Making those connections through the body is so important and so rewarding. Next, as you're ready, you can bring that foot back in, and we'll allow the arms to come down as we reach back to center. Let's take a nice deep breath in. Yep, exhale, and then bring hands back to head. Beautiful. Bow your body over toward the left side. Feet are apart, and we have the knees unlocked. It's so natural for people to hyperextend the knees on side bending. It's amazing. I think it's partly because they're slipping behind the lateral line, so we want to really be up against that lateral line. It's both facilitating that movement and restraining it, so it's very supportive. All right, and so now we want to just experiment. Can I drop that right shoulder back a little bit and just explore those diagonal fibers that run through the trunk? Remember, you're sandwiching your front body and your back body with the superficial front line and superficial back line. Take one more breath, and now we'll start to shift the weight into the left foot and start to create a connection between left foot, left hip, right shoulder, right elbow, and then you can toe the right toe off to the side, and then you may decide you will lift the foot, maybe. You can keep this leg straight, Tawny.
Okay.
Sort of like that, just for experiment. Yes, very nice. When you're ready, you can bring the foot back and come back to center. Whoo, that was a long time. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, let's come forward and down, and just relax it down. Very nice. Keep your knees really bent and gently swing your body from side to side. So perhaps, because we've been highlighting the lateral lines, you'll feel the stability of that in your legs, but feel the fluidity of the thorax as you just gently swing from side to side. All right, let's bring our hands to our hips and lift the chest up and sit into chair pose, basically, Utkatasana. So with Utkatasana, what we'll do is energize the legs like we're dialing them away from each other. Stand on your left leg, bring right leg away from the mat, and then see about taking it across. Now you can either touch the toe down or perhaps wrap. If you wrap, keep the knees deeply bent, energize like you're pulling the legs apart. So we're activating our lateral lines. So energize like you're trying to pull the legs apart. If you have a toe down here and you have a good relationship between your legs, it's still as though you're pulling the legs apart. And then we'll do the same thing with the arms. So we'll bring the right under, left over, weave the arms together, drop the shoulders down. You can lift the elbows if there's space to do so, and energize your arms like you're trying to pull them apart. So same thing you're doing with your legs. And then when you're ready, you can unwind the arms, unwind the leg, and step it down. Let's try that one more time. Bending knees and hips, dialing it out. This time we're standing on right leg, so dial this knee out, bring the leg up, take it across, either touching down or you can wrap. And then energize like you're pulling the legs apart. Left under, right over. Drop the shoulders, lift the elbows perhaps. Energizing as though you want to pull the arms apart. Same thing here. If your toe is down and you're still able to hook one leg over the other, it's like you're pulling the legs apart. Activating your lateral lines to do this. And then when you're ready, you can unwind the arms, take the foot, step it down. Inhale. Exhale. Just bend and straighten one leg at a time. Hands to the mat. Walk your feet back to upper push-up position. So we'll go into side plank. Please take whatever version of side plank you want to take. You're going to keep your left hand down first. Rock over onto the left foot. Now you have the option of bringing your bottom knee down or stepping your top foot down or coming from the feet. So wherever you are, let's intend to lift the body into the lateral line. Press down into your foot to wake it up. And of course, the lower aspect, the underneath aspect of your body is also being stabilized by the lateral line. So one more deep breath here. Lift into it. And let's release. Very nice. Take a moment to breathe. almost finished the effortful parts of the of this line. Good. All right, let's come back to plank. And this time we'll keep the right hand down, rock over onto the outer aspect of the right foot or the knee, or choose your position. And so we're intending to lift up into this line, like you could hug into this line. Press into your feet, press into your hand. One more deep breath here. And exhale, you can bring the hand down. Very nice. So, a lot of times when you're in a pose that's asking you to, for that kind of intensity, it's good to have an area to focus on. It's good to have either, you're focusing on the deep front line or the superficial front line or the lateral lines. And those lines are going to be something, it's not just a focal point, but it also is something to point your energy toward. All right, so where you are now is great. We're going to just let's take the right knee behind us and then walk back. I do highly recommend the use of a block here. So you could get a block under your sitting bones. And you just want to arrange the body so that your knees are able to stack fairly closely. Rock forward and back until you feel comfortable doing so. That's not going to work in your body? Okay. Do you want to go into pigeon? You can do pigeon. Okay. Okay, so if we're doing cow face pose, we're doing it actively. So pressing down into the feet, and what we want to make sure is that we're able to move up and down. Okay, so we're pressing down. Tatiana's going to do pigeon, and she will be doing pigeon in a strong pigeon pose. Okay, also activating her lateral line in pigeon pose. Okay, so let's just make that the focus of the practice. So energizing down the whole time that you're sitting here, and then, if you wanted to do something with your arms, that's fine. Let's actually make this a side bending pose. Okay. All right, so we have our left leg in front. Let's put the right hand down and reach over with the left hand. So while we're here, let's just explore rolling this forward and back. So now we're tensioning the lower half of the line, which is our main stabilizer for knee and hip. And then we're working with this action of the upper aspect of the lateral line, which is allowing for just a little bit of rotation through the spine, still a pretty stable position for our walking mechanics. For pigeon pose, we're a little bit more limited, but that doesn't mean we can't work on some rotation at the same time. All right, so wherever we are, let's come back to center. Come back to center, just take a moment here. Tatiana, you'll step back, good. And the rest of us, we're just gonna switch, just keep it nice and simple. Remember, use a block if you're having any challenge. This is not about going as deep as you can, though. We're not trying to make this a stretch. But what's important is if you're in a position that you cannot rise in and out of, then start on the block so that you know that you can turn your muscles on. So what we've been talking about earlier in the course was activating at end range. This is a case where we're activating at our end range. Tatiana's activating at her end range, and we're activating at our end range, just in different postures. So that means that we can actively get in and out of that posture. So we're pressing down, we're going to maintain that pressing down energy, and then we'll just bring our fingers out, and then we'll take it to the side, and we'll move in and out. And the whole time we're pressing down into our feet, and we're working with this little bit of rotation. Quite an active movement. Feel free to explore. You can make it bigger or smaller, but again, when we're working with the lateral line, it's fairly limited rotation with that, because it's all about stability, really. Okay, so then we can bring it back up to center, and we'll roll that out. Let's uncross the legs, shake it out. You guys are going to get off the block now. Inhale, reach your arms up, and then exhale, peel yourself back onto the mat. Great. Let's let the feet fall to about the width of the mat, and then bring arms overhead. Good. And then you'll take your right foot and drop it across your left ankle. And then take your right hand and put it into your left hand. You can hold the right wrist if you like. And just lie here for a few breaths, closing eyes. You're just gently, gently tensioning the lateral line. So play with your pelvic position while you're here, okay? So that means that you're gonna let the low spine roll away from the mat, maybe. You could balloon your belly out, and then as you exhale, you could pull the belly in so that you're posteriorly tilting the pelvis. And just notice how that changes the sensation through the lateral line. The lateral line also helps stabilize the pelvis, of course, hip, pelvis, knee. So all of that has to work together, and you'll notice that pelvic position is going to influence all of it. So just a couple explorations there. Good. And then we'll uncross the legs, go back to feet about the width of the mat, uncross the arms, and then when you're ready, you can take left foot across right ankle, put right wrist into left hand. And now work with the pelvis. So spill the pelvis anteriorly, spill it posteriorly, and just notice the difference in sensation over the lateral line of your left leg this time. Even the left thorax, you may find. You can feel the sensation all the way up. Beautiful. Let's gather through the belly, take the leg back out to Shavasana position, and you can bring your arms down for Shavasana. And we're letting our students have Shavasana, you have Shavasana too, but just allowing everything to fall into relaxation. That was our lateral line exploration, and I will see you on the next lesson.